All I remember is a bottle of peach schnapps and a dirty magazine and like 3 of my friends in Cedarland Park in Lancaster. And at the time, it's like, this is what it's all about. This is the best time ever. I remember getting wasted, like shirts off, hugging, then vomiting, and being like, this is amazing.
Millie makes songs, hey, I made this one. Jerry builds bikes and they go real fast. They're mental defectives.
Welcome to the Mental Defectives podcast, a show where we interview interesting individuals with a focus on addiction and mental health. I'm your host, Milligram. That's Millie if you know me, Mr. Graham if you know me. Joined, as always, by the Hewlett-Packard of Harleys, the gearhead with a heart of gold. It's Mr. Jerry with a G.
Glad to be here.
And today...
Hold on, tap on the brakes.
Tapping.
Just like you should tap on the like and subscribe button if you dig what we do.
Like and subscribe. Because today we have a very special guest. He is a sober father, husband, therapist, a cold plunger, runner, drummer, graphic designer. Don't lower the lights on this guy because he's just getting started. Please welcome Ryan. Ryan, how's it going?
It's going really good.
Hell
Really good.
yeah.
It's nice to be here. It's exciting.
I appreciate you
good to
coming
see you
through
guys.
on a 42-hour heads up of us strong-arming you in the
we
parking
did.
lot.
Big deal.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Ryan, where are you from?
I grew up in Lancaster, Ohio. 45 minutes from here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Born in Virginia, moved to Kentucky, grew up in Lancaster.
You've been all over, and you lived in Georgia and also like San Diego or something for a while?
Lived in San Francisco twice.
shit.
Tell you about that. Lived in Atlanta twice. Lived in Nashville and Columbus, in many different places all over there, including
Hell
the
yeah.
street for a while. Good times.
And that's what we will
No.
get to. When did you pick up your first drink?
Well, so I remember, I was thinking about this, and I want to say it was the summer between 6th and 7th grade. All I remember is a bottle of peach schnapps and a dirty magazine and like 3 of my friends in Cedarland Park in Lancaster. And at the time, it's like, this is what it's all about. This is the best time ever. I remember getting wasted, like shirts off, hugging, then vomiting, and being like, this is amazing. And I didn't like start it up from then, but I don't think I'll ever forget that as hard as I try. But the steady drinking probably started on the weekends, pretty stereotypical junior high-ish.
Yeah.
Fitting in,
Do you
trying to be
remember
cool.
what the dirty magazine was?
I hope it was Club, but I don't. I remember we stashed it like somewhere in the woods too, and I'd go back and get it because it was a big deal back then.
Yeah, sure.
You know, it's not like I just pick up the phone now. It's like,
Not
if
like the
you
kids
had,
have it these days.
No,
you had a
right.
dirty magazine, man, you were doing something. So it was a
Dirty
big
magazine
deal.
and peach schnapps.
I feel sleazy just saying that. You know, I mean, yeah.
As you should,
Steal the
but
peach
hey,
schnapps,
you
get the
know?
dirty magazine, and I wish it was that simple today. You know,
Right.
Oh, man.
A simpler
Yeah.
time.
right?
Okay, so you're already off to an amazing start today.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So you start drinking on like the weekends or whatever in elementary, middle and high school.
So definitely junior high, and I had one friend. I was a big athlete kid, but then I had some other friends because I played music at, I guess, I don't know if they still call them hoods. I don't know. I don't want to disrespect anybody, but it was basically the guys that, I don't know, were into the rock music. And anyway, so I had some connects and basically could get alcohol different ways. And but starting in 9th grade, it was when it was like, okay, this is a thing that I want to include in my life. And God, I remember getting caught with beer at school one time in 9th grade. Just really enjoying it, I guess. I mean, I've known I was an alcoholic since I was like 14. Yeah. So, but no like major consequences. But that's when like mental health kicked in and everything too. So you combine like self-harm and some mental health issues, throw a bunch of peach schnapps, maybe, what was it? Sun Country wine coolers, just like with a 2-gallon. And then needing attention and depression and all the other things that 14-year-olds go through. And it's a
Maybe
hot
a
mess.
dirty magazine or two.
If I was lucky, a dirty magazine. No, I remember because I was always a friendly, fun drunk. I wasn't starting fights or anything like that, but I just, yeah, I remember that was it was a fun time though, because I don't know, it was easy. I mean, life was a lot more simple back then.
And
it was
at that point, we're too dumb. We have no responsibilities in
None.
high school, middle school.
Nope.
You're too dumb to know any better. Everything's new and exciting.
I went, go to school, and I was a runner, and then play music and like try to talk to girls and get drunk on the week. I don't know. I don't remember anything else that I did for like years. Actually, that was
That's our episode, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in.
That was continued into my 20s. Now that I think about it, minus the school.
Right.
So yeah, no, I remember being upset that a friend of mine got class partier. Like I thought I was like that was the only thing I was upset about. But yeah, the drinking didn't get. I just remember King Cobra back in the day. There was one drive-through in Lancaster that like. I mean, you could be 12 years old, and if you had like one piece of facial hair, that guy would sell you King Cobra. And you get 3 of those things in you at like 14, 15 years old. I mean, you're ready to party. I mean, I'm dancing, and so I just remember, and I guess started peeing my pants about that time too, and I remember just getting blackout drunk. But you know, I don't think the consequences. Oh. See, I knew I was gonna. I remember getting arrested for the first time when I was 16,
Nice.
and parents had to pick me up at the police station in Lancaster, 8 a.m, and I remember that car ride home wasn't good, but it was, you know, it wasn't still. But my parents got divorced when I was a senior, which at first was horrible and sad. But then my mom moved out, and then my dad went away every weekend, which would mean that there were no parents. And so I would have parties and just did a lot of drinking there. And it just it was a natural progression. If I look back now and connect the dots, I mean, that's when it really kind of started to take off. And then when I went to college, I went to a whole new level. Yeah. So gained 50 pounds my first year of college, joined a fraternity because I was drunk at a party and then too scared to quit. And, went to Ohio State and I remember they transferred to OU, started getting DUIs and public intoxes and stuff like that. And I remember I would get all my student loan checks and spend it all on alcohol and lie about it and selling plasma and all this stuff. Like that's because my heroes growing up, well, at least the drumming guys, were alcoholics, drug addicts, and badass drummers.
Yeah,
Keith Moon and John Bonham, and
I knew you were gonna say those two.
Well, Tommy Lee too, and I was
I
want to be just like those guys, you know.
Yeah,
and that's what I aspired to do for a long time, and I was heading in that direction until you know, added some other things on top of that, but good times. That was a long time ago for me. We just had our 30th high school reunion.
Oh, so, man.
That was, yeah, man. I'm 48 years old. Feels weird to say.
Dave, you look good as hell for 48.
Thank you.
No shit.
Thank you.
No shit.
Thanks, Jer.
Yeah.
Thanks.
For sure.
Yeah.
I thought you were
and you have the energy of a 13-year-old.
And here's the thing. I think
that's what I'm
the maturity level it's weird. It's like a Benjamin Button kind of thing. It's like the maturity level has gone down over the years.
Right.
And, you know, physically, you know, I don't always feel young. But mentally, I'm like, what's going on? Where's the dirty magazines? Let's do all this stuff. I get real excited, about all kinds of stuff. So
love it.
Yeah.
So do you make it all the way through college, or you drop out, or?
College was interesting.
Because OU out in Athens, Ohio, that's like a known like party school. I'm sure they're known for other things, but
I transferred to OU thinking that I was gonna be a videographer, and
interesting.
I go down there and I got in a band called Red, White, and Blue, and we started doing really good. And so I was there 2 years and decided I was gonna take a year off, and the band was doing really well. So I take the time off. Started doing other drugs, got kicked out of the band, which was like devastating for me. For years, I couldn't let go of it. I was so mad because I'd see their name in the paper, and they're still playing, actually.
Oh, wow. What'd they kick you out for?
Drugs.
Oh.
It was alcohol and weed was fine, but then when they found out I was doing like coke and LSD and stuff, they were like, we can't have that. And It was
It's
much
a band
more
you don't want to be in
about-
anyway.
It
I
was
know, that's not very
Yeah, what
rock
the
and
fuck?
roll
If
of
you're-
it.
yeah, what the hell?
I was much more about the lifestyle at the time
Fair.
than taking the band
Yeah.
serious. And, I wasn't thinking like, this is a business. I was like, we
Right.
gotta have fun and do all this stuff. And, there'd be a couple hundred people and I'd be like, I'm a rock star. I mean, I was living like that, before. And, before I like made it on a tour bus or any of that stuff. It's hard to maintain like a heroin habit, full on alcoholism, and be on tour at the same time. It sounds like it wouldn't be, but when you're traveling out of a van and making no money,
That
and
sounds
don't know
next to
anybody,
impossible.
Sounds
and
terrible.
sleeping on floors and then
That
it
sounds
is hard.
terrible.
It's hard to manage.
And you were still drinking like heavily while doing dope? That
No,
always
the
surprises
dope
me.
didn't kick until later. So this is in the 90s.
Okay.
So then I quit school and I am just going on a spiral. Living in Lancaster. I'm going out every single night.
You're out of school. You're out of the band.
I'm out of college. So I went for 3 years in the 90s, quit. And then I remember running into a guy at a bar in like 98 or 99. And he's like, I'm moving to San Francisco. And I was like, do you have an extra couch or whatever? And so I found out that he did, and I moved to San Francisco. I think my dad flew me out there just because I needed to do something different. And it's random because my wife now took my drums out for me at the time, which is odd. She moved out to San Francisco at the same time, not together or
totally
anything
Yeah,
like
unrelated.
that.
just totally.
She was like, I can take your drums for you. And so she took my drums and I lived on a couch in Dublin, which is like an hour outside of San Francisco. Got a job waiting tables and was playing in like 3 bands
Hell yeah.
within a couple months.
Sweet.
And just doing more or less the same thing just out there. But I wasn't I wasn't into drugs yet, so it was like somewhat manageable. I
Yeah,
mean, when I
sure.
say drugs, I'm talking heroin.
Yeah.
Right.
Not cocaine. Is that are we even counting that anymore? Right. So I'm talking about straight up, heroin and Oxycontin. Yeah.
Yeah.
The stuff that improves your life.
Was that a thing in the 90s at that time?
So I'd never even heard of Oxycontin.
Right.
So a friend that I lived with had been in a serious car accident, and he used to pay a guy. There's a place in San Francisco called the Tenderloin.
Oh,
It's
we're
funny.
familiar.
Chris Rock had a joke. He's like, "There's nothing tender." I'm trying to do the voice. He's like, "There's nothing."
maybe
I
not
know,
too.
right? I'm like, hold on. He's like, "There's nothing tender about that loin." Was his joke, but
Yeah,
when it's
yeah.
Chris Rock, then it sounds funny.
Yeah.
So anyway, a guy would bring him up pills all the time, and I was just getting drunk and spending all my money and feeling like crap and every single day. And I was like, man, that sounds kind of fun. And he gave me a half of a 80 one night, an 80 OC, and I snorted and I stayed up all night, like scratching myself, just I don't know, half miserable and half like absolutely loving it.
Yep.
And that's all it took. And it was like this new little fire inside me that just started up. And then I started buying like some Vicodin and a 6-pack. And then just slowly, then Percocet. You just walk down and they'd see you and they'd just shout stuff out. And Oxycontin were like way cheaper at the time. They were like $15 for an 80. And so started doing those. And, wow, these are fun. And I have all kinds of energy. And I stay up all night and I only spend $15. But then you need more, and then you need more and more. And then, so next thing I know, people did more, but I think it was like about 5, 6 a day, which is still hard to manage. Waiting tables, a lot of different bands out there. I had some pretty good gigs, toured a lot. Always had to wait tables and stuff. Just never had any money to show for it.
Yeah.
And then, I was dating a woman that she had a chance to move to Atlanta, and I had been to Atlanta several times, and we bought a bunch of Oxycontin and took it to Atlanta, and we're gonna wean ourselves off, right?
Right.
Can I tell you that? How has that ever worked? Where like
Never.
I'm gonna do it myself. It's gonna be cool.
If we ever meet the person that did that successfully, I would love to have them on the show.
Yeah,
Because I don't think that person exists.
Yeah, it just so basically we I think it was like I don't know 15 80s or something. We did it all in like 2 days and ran out, and then I dealt with horrible withdrawals for a week or two, and absolutely miserable. Again in Atlanta, oh gosh, I forgot about this. I got a job waiting tables, and I remember starting to get the Googling where to buy heroin in Atlanta. So there, I mean,
Not the first guest we've
about
had.
No,
that-
we haven't,
that
yeah.
Use Google to try and find drugs.
Literally, so what
Hilarious.
happens is all these like articles and stuff about people getting arrested and
Yeah.
drug busting. I'm like, well, that's where I need to go. So I remember this '97 Mercury Sable, all jacked up, driving it around,
Hell
and
yeah.
it didn't take long. And I found it was called the Bluffs in Atlanta.
Oh, have you
And
seen Snow on the Bluff?
I've seen part of it, yeah. And it is
Yeah.
shady. And
Yeah.
man, I would drive around there drunk at 3 a.m, letting people in my. I mean, just the fact that I wasn't seriously injured is a
Bro,
miracle.
the first time I went to Atlanta, I had a friend that's from there,
Right.
and I get off the plane. I'm like, bro, I want to go to all the places I heard in rap
Right.
songs. Take me to Bankhead, take me to Buckhead, take me to the
Bankhead.
Bluff. And he's like, we can't go to any of those places.
Right.
Like, you will die. We
Yeah.
will both die.
We'd stick out a little bit.
Little
I
bit,
mean,
little
it's
bit.
just. I mean, that's just the truth. I mean,
more of a tan.
and that's. So when they would see me down there, I mean, I don't know. So I luckily then I knew somebody and it was a whole thing. But I loved Atlanta. I just everywhere I moved, I just screwed it up. You know, I mean, at some point ended up like, taking money from the friend that was helping me out, and just it all
Sure.
ended up with me like calling dad and asking him if I can come back. And so I did that, and like it was move home. And then the last time I tried San Francisco again, 2 months, in a hotel, cooking up black tar heroin on a Coke can, and just like, fuck my life. Like,
Yep.
what is, and this continued on too. I mean, it just kept going down and down. And, I did the same thing with Atlanta. And my dad would always try to help me out. And he'd be like, yeah, he knew I needed to go somewhere. But then I found out that, just moving somewhere wasn't going to solve the problem. And I mean, I
Geographic.
tried to get clean like that. But, I would still, like, I was a good drummer, so I could always get into bands. It just wouldn't last because it eventually would, present itself to my alcoholic side and just craziness that people, it's fun at first for someone to be in a band with like this crazy party guy, but after a while they get sick of it. They do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just just always, disappearing, just not being responsible, just, borrowing money,
And like, as the drummer, it's not like, I hate to throw bass players under the bus, but like, if the bass player misses the show, like, you could still kind of get it. You could get by, without a bass
Right.
player. You can't do shit without a drum,
I mean,
Yeah.
what do they even do? Sam's listening right now. Just,
Yes, it's like, really?
clenching his fist right now. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. I mean,
it's
some
hard- it's
bands
hard-
don't even have bass players now. Like,
I'm saying it's
White
hard-
Stripes didn't have a bass player.
There you go. Like, but it's hard to look up on a stage and be like, oh, this band's gonna be sick, and then there's no drum. Like, it's
I
the
think-
biggest, loudest instrument.
I think we're onto something right
Yeah.
now. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
For sure.
I think so.
basically just no bass player needed ever. No, in the band. Like, actually, if a band does have a bass player, I'm not going. No.
Shout out the bass players. Mark Hoppus, we love you.
The Mental Defectives podcast is brought to you by Milligram's new EP, More Is Always Better. 6 electrifying tracks available on all streaming platforms.
So you're in San Francisco, Coke can, black tar, for 2 months.
Yeah.
And then still playing in bands, waiting tables out there as well.
Yep. So wait, where are we at? San Francisco
Yep.
to Atlanta, and then did a lot of touring. Like it's out in San Francisco, I got one big gig with a guy named Merle Saunders, who was like, it's not the only reason he was famous, but he had a connection with Jerry Garcia and the Grateful Dead, and so we
nice.
got a lot of big shows and playing with B.B. King and Los
hell
Lobos
yeah.
and
That's cool.
Oh my God.
someone, I don't know, a bunch of other kind of older blues and funk.
So it was like
people.
a country western or like bluegrass or like what kind of...
This was a little bit of bluegrass, but mainly funk.
Nice.
And
Oh, hell yeah.
so all over the place. That was a real tour where I was making like decent money. And had a guy setting up my drums and tearing them down. I was
Ooh,
like,
got a
this
drum
is
tech.
it.
That's
for the first time ever, and that's an amazing feeling. Just to be able to get up, walk off the stage, and then not have to worry about the drums is amazing.
Cuts down on time between playing and getting high, which has got to be great.
Oh yeah. Or just or just even worrying about them. Like, hey, can I get my drums tomorrow? Like, no, man, go get your drums. It's like 3 a.m. Like, we gotta close. Yeah, but so yeah. I get mixed up here.
We're in San Francisco for the second time.
Oh yeah. So that moved back, I was staying with a friend, but. And then I think I talked a friend into coming back down to Atlanta. And I mean, it was the same thing. Just didn't last long this time. Because I was in hyper mode of just lying to myself. And, the whole time there's all this untreated mental health stuff going on. And, I mean, there's so many stories in between there. But if we fast forward, which is probably what we should do, there's, it just continued on and on, like the same stuff. It's a cycle of just misery and just no real relationships, like cut off from all my friends. Just I remember I borrowed a drum set from a friend that like just always believed in me, and I had sold everything I owned that was worth $1 or more. And I was like, I would never do that to him. And one day I was staying with my mom in Lancaster, and she found out that I was using and kicked me out. She's like, I don't care where you go. And I was like, well, you got to take me to Columbus then. And packed up his drum set, sold it. It was like $250 I got for the whole thing, which later, by the way, I had to pay back $2,700. That was fun. But I got our friendship back, which was nice too.
Worth
costly. But so that was my first time being, I say, officially homeless, like on the street.
Yeah.
Which is a whole different thing. And I had like knee problems and me just I don't know how people do it. I mean, it was really tough. And luckily I found some like trap houses I could stay in briefly and link up with some people, and I got to learn how to fly a sign, which was fun, and manipulate people out of money on the street and things like that. But
how successful was that? Like, are you pulling in like $100 a day, or is it one day you pull in 20, then you go 3 days with 0, then you get like 200 a day?
I remember. So when I came up to Dublin, I was it was Sawmill Road, and I remember taking the bus up to this place. And I remember I was with a guy, and he hands me a sign, and it was like, it said I was a veteran. And I remember thinking like, I can't use this, man, I'm not a veteran.
Right.
Like, and he just looked at me and was like, what's the matter? And I just kinda, what I took from that was like, he's like, really, you've has morals and values. You can't lie, like all of a sudden about being, and so I held this sign, and which I still kind of feel bad about. But no, I made like nothing. Because like 2 hours standing there felt like an eternity. And we'd combine our money, and I mean, it'd just be nothing. And going up to people when they get in their cars and stuff like that, and make up lies about. But no, I think I made, I don't know, $10 an hour, maybe something like that. It, all change, and people want to help, and they're giving you food and everything, but you're just like, I appreciate it, but that is not what I need. I need, that 20 in your wallet.
And then you got to go to the dope man with $25 in quarters.
Gotta
That's
go,
got to
right.
be.
Yeah,
I'm
got to
sure they
take
take
the
all
bus
that.
all the way. I mean, it was just a shit show, man.
Yeah.
I mean, just a life of misery. So, and there's ODs in there, and there's just sticking needles in every single part of my body that I could reach, being rushed to the hospital, and just I'm like, I'm never gonna do that again until the next day. And no, I just anything I put in my body that like changes my mood in any sort of way, somehow you guys don't know what that's like, do you? Like, just like,
We have a little idea.
So
Yeah.
that's,
not at all, right?
And that, but when OxyContin came into the mix, that's when it just quick downhill. Quick downhill. So I yeah. So, in and out of Maryhaven, the standard also. But I never
And
did
is this family shoving you in, or is this you going up on your own volition, or is this you like, oh, don't want to sleep on the street tonight, let me go get 3 hots on a cot?
It was both, or actually all three of those. I remember my dad paying to send me to this place in New York. I went through different programs in Atlanta and San Francisco, more outpatient stuff. Maryhaven was my go-to. And, I'd get in there and every time would be the same. I'd be like, I'm going to quit forever. This is, I've got this new life. And a second I walk out the door, it's like, boop.
Yeah.
And I just did the same stuff. So, luckily 2015, I went, God, I don't know what I was doing before, but 2015, I went to long-term treatment and did the whole thing. And luckily I had nowhere else to go. And I remember feeling those withdrawals and begging my dad to come home, and thank God he didn't let me. And it was just, it was miserable. But once I started to feel better, and, got a sponsor and did all that stuff and get involved, it was like a tiny little bit of hope. And then, so I was in treatment altogether, 8-9 months, long-term treatment. And it wasn't until, got support and started to have fun. And I realized I'd never had like serious conversations and had real fun sober. Yeah. Like since I was a teenager. And I was like, man, it was a big deal to go through that at first. I mean, I really had this giant awakening and realization and everything like that. And I remember getting out of the house and my buddy bought me a drum set, and I was scared to play out in bars again. But on my home passes, my friend Sam would come and pick me up, and then we'd go and we'd jam, and started getting back into it and everything. And we joined, and then he had already started a band, and we started playing at like parties, and we played some bars, and we put out a couple albums and stuff like that. And it's mainly for fun, but nowadays it's for fun, but it's good. It's a little brotherhood we've got. So, and I've played a lot of other random gigs, and I didn't even talk about Nashville and all the country music and stuff like that, but it's a big, like, if I look back at my life and connect all the dots, I mean, it is not just like beep boop boop. I mean, there's circles,
it's
and
all
squares,
yeah.
It is. It's insane. Like I forget, I'll be reminded of certain things. Like I said, when I drove up to Sawmill Road, different parts of town, and I won't realize, like there'll be kids in the car, and I'll be like, man, I OD'd in that bathroom. Like I hadn't seen it, and I'm not lying. Like, and I'll forget, where I'm around. Like, or Sam he was one time I was on the phone, and we were driving by some Salvation Army, and I was like, man, and he's like, didn't want business call, right? Because or I'll be like, oh man, this one time I got arrested and all this stuff. Like we talk openly about it now, because now I laugh at it. It wasn't funny at the time, but
Right.
I mean, I forget how insane that shit is sometimes. Like I forget that about the drinking as a teenager and stuff like that. There's so many things have happened since then that if anything, we just joke about it. But those, they slip my mind, I guess. But my mind's all over the place anyway, all the time. So, anyway.
Okay, so you get out of the long-term treatment. You're in the band, playing music. Things are going well. And then this transitions into like a lengthy period of sobriety for you, correct?
So, yeah, and see, this is what we were talking about, keeping on track. Thank you, Millie. Because I'm just like, what am I talking? I'm going from 99 to 2007 to, thank you. I got you. I am, so this time, it was serious. And God, all I remember is I had no money. I think I was making like $9 an hour, staying in a sober house. And I'd never been happier in my life. I'll never forget that. I had a ton of friends. I mean, if anybody can relate, it's probably you guys. And a ton of friends. And I had the most fun doing nothing. Just sitting like this, just chilling, just watching movies, drinking. I mean, it was awesome. And it was just like, I can do anything now. I want to do stuff. I don't need to do anything else. And So eventually I worked at a hospital as a dietary aide. That's a fancy word for just like working in the kitchen. And then I got a job. A buddy asked if I wanted to work at a treatment center as a tech. And so I did that for a year and then got a job at the treatment center that I went through, which I loved, still love to this day. And as a case manager, and things just got better. I mean, they just continued to do it. Kind of got promoted, and life wasn't perfect, but I mean, I was just playing music, working, just having a blast, living life. And God, what was it? So it was I had a good friend who I lived in. It was the friend that who gave me OxyContin for the first time. Dear friend, also a addict. I mean, it's pretty safe to say he was an addict. Funniest guy I ever met. Ended up committing suicide, and so I was back in Lancaster going to his. I guess it would have been a celebration of life, and it was real tough. But I had a friend that was also the night that my 25th high school reunion was, and so I was like, I don't want to go. I'll go. And
that's a hell of an evening.
Yeah,
right.
A funeral and a high school reunion.
Well, the funeral is the next morning, and so I go to this, and I'm just saying hi to people, and my now wife comes up and hugs me, and we start talking. Who was drunk, by the way? I had been sober for I don't know how many years. Well, 5, 6 maybe. Well, no, I don't know. See, all mixed up. But
sober a number of years.
A number of years.
Yeah.
And we went out a week later, and freaking married, 2 years later. So the same woman that took my drums out for me. So we had this, random, connections through the years. So that it was like this tragedy that this thing came out of it. It felt meant to be. So yeah, that was even though I didn't meet her for the first time, that's how I got back together with my wife. But so living with a friend, so now I live in Grandview with her, and so I'm a stepfather, which has been challenging but gratifying at the same time. I considered my 14-year-old stepson is my teacher. That's the way I consider it, because he's
interesting.
When I first moved in, I was like, I'm gonna make this kid better. I'm gonna teach him life lessons. I know all this stuff about life. Yeah. I'll tell you what, wasn't having it. He could have gave a shit less. Yeah. And so and it was weird, but and I still frustrated, but I really, I started to love him and really care. And I still get frustrated all the time, but he really teaches me about myself a lot. I'm like, why am I so mad? Like, I was not this perfect kid at age 14. So
yeah, 14,
that has been,
at 14, you were out in the woods with some schnapps and a dirty magazine.
Like cutting myself, getting suspended from school. I mean, yeah, it was the whole thing. But so that's been fun, and and then when you get married, then you have a whole nother side, family and stuff like that. So so that has been odd. I would have never thought that I would get married and be in a family, but it's I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way, but that's the plan. Have a stepdaughter that's going to college next year, and then he's in 9th grade. And so kind of a family man. Try to have to learn, having to learn to do things around the house. Jerry knows all about this.
I do.
I will have a full-on panic, spending hours doing something that Jerry probably does in 7 seconds. That was the math I just did in my head.
See, my wife will ask to do something like that. I'm like, that sounds like a job for Jerry. Yeah, and then we wait till Jerry comes over, and I'm like, hey, she wants you to do this. I'm right on it.
It's really manipulation. It's like a manipulation kind of. No, after a while, I'm just like, I gotta call Jerry. I don't want to call Jerry. But I've had to learn. I've had to learn how to do things. And my wife she'd be like, "Can you hang up these lights?" I'll be like, "Absolutely." But I'm like, I've never done that before. Just like, it'll be something random that she would just assume an adult knows how to do. And I'll be like, I've never done that before.
Like, lady, I spent 20 years doing drugs and drinking and playing drums. I don't know about
I'm like,
all you do is fake it. Act like you know what you're doing. If it takes you 3 hours to figure it out, just act like you know what you're doing. That's what I do.
I've had to do that and just in life in general.
Fake it.
Yeah, right.
Say it with confidence.
It took me, what was I doing? It took me like 4 hours to do. I mean, it was like just taking a screw and finding the right screw and some with my shower and one of these toggle things. I was baffled. And I'm on YouTube and I'm on my phone calling people.
Yeah.
If I showed you right now what I was doing, you'd be like, dude, what's going on with you? Like, you can't figure that out. Anyway. I've embraced it. It's I was like, should I start a YouTube channel for people like me that take a long time? And then I'm like, yeah, literally no one would watch that ever. Maybe like a couple people though.
I'd subscribe.
So, yeah,
for sure.
So then, okay, so you're sober, you get married,
beautiful wedding.
You got the 2 step kids, and then what happens? Because we're not quite to the happily ever after.
Oh yeah.
Yet.
So I go back to school. I remember I went for 3 years and I'm like, I'm going to be a social worker. I had no idea. I did not plan on, I was like, I'm going to be a counselor and or social work, any of that stuff. And just kind of fell into it. I think it was working, where I was working and just seeing, I don't know, the transformation of people is one of my favorite things. It's the most beautiful thing in the world to watch somebody's like true, authentic self come back out.
Absolutely.
And discover things like that, like a child again. And I've just fell in love with that. So I was like, that's what I'm going to do. So I went there and I got my bachelor's and got licensed as a social worker. And then nowadays, gosh, you got to get your master's to do a lot of things. So I went to grad school too. And this is when a lot of problems started. But so I'm in grad school and all of a sudden all this perfectionism comes out. Man, I am spending hours doing, it was more than a full-time job. Spending on the computer, writing papers, researching. And I had lots of knee problems for years. And I like meniscus and all this stuff. And my knees were just falling apart. And I was a runner for a long time. And so I was just limping around. So I had a knee replacement surgery, and I don't know what year it is, but it was a few years ago, and barely made it through. I was like, I'm not going to take any painkillers. I'm tough, And people were like, man, you're going to have to take some painkillers. So and my wife like really monitored it, and it, I took it a lot more serious and scraped by on that one, and come out of it, and my other knee starts hurting a lot, and so same thing. But this one was worse because I had been just disconnecting and I think starting to take like the less serious kind of stuff like gabapentin and Suboxone. I just started, I'm not sure the timeline exactly, but I have this surgery. From the second I had that surgery, I knew what I was going to do. I immediately started manipulating. And one thing I just thought of when how they have to do the IV. So every time I have to get IVs and stuff, they have to bust out the ultrasound machine.
Oh shit.
Look on my legs and stuff. I had an IV in my neck. I remember. And I had my wife, like I was all proud of it. And I was like, my wife, and I'm like, take a picture. She's like, I'll get all excited. Like, and I'm sitting there in the picture like this, and there's an IV sticking on my neck, and that's what. But so I got back, and I had some stuff in my system, and so the painkillers weren't working. So speed up through. I'm manipulating it all and snorting these pills, and I don't know. I really thought I was like, okay, I'm back in it, but no one needs to know. I'm off work right now, and I think I'd left my job, but I was in school, but I was just, I really believed that I was going to wean myself off, and I'm stronger now. And I'd been sober before that for, I want to say at least 7.5 years, not 8.
In that 7 years of sobriety, had you addressed any like the mental health stuff, or was it strictly?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have some diagnosis. Yeah. I got diagnosed with, of course, the standards, anxiety and depression, and got a bipolar in there.
Nice.
It wasn't until I got ADHD diagnosed with that, like the official did the test and all this stuff. I don't know, a couple years ago and all that stuff. And because I remember trying to do schoolwork, and that's when I really, I was like, I cannot do these simple things I want to do.
Yeah.
And it was driving me insane. But so, no, I had done a lot of different counseling, a lot of different meds, but I just started letting go of all this. Like school came first. I put school above everything.
Sure.
I'm very stereotypical in like those ways where I
mean,
it's like
it's a saying for a reason. Like anything I put in front of my sobriety, I'm going to lose, and it's
that way. Right,
everything's
right.
like the stereotype because it's
right
real.
That and I stopped doing stuff, and because I was like, I have this, like I'm strong mind, and I can do it, and just lying to myself. So I had so I was, and it was just pills. Like after you shoot heroin for years,
It's like,
I don't
just
know. It
snorting
just
a couple
felt,
perk fives, or
right. It
it's
just
all
felt,
good.
and I mean, I'm like convinced. I mean, it says to snort it, right? And on the bottle, snort, crush up, and do not take one. It means crush up 6 at a time, and do it. It's like, it's funny that when I talk with other addicts, they're just like, "That's good." When I do it with my wife, she's like, "That's not funny."
I used to say like I read at a 12th grade level, but like when you hand me a prescription pill.
I'm a
prescription
fucking
bottle,
doctor.
If it's got the label like "Don't operate under heavy machinery,"
Yeah.
I get real dyslexic real quick, and it's like
It's opposite.
take 12 every 30 minutes,
Exactly.
like type deal.
So we went on a vacation, and to speed things up, I'm in New Hampshire, and
That's your first
I'm
mistake, going on
ruining-
vacation in New Hampshire.
so
That's rough.
could have been great. And I can't go in the water because I have this knee surgery, and so I take all these pills with me, do them all, and I'm just like, I can go this last day. Last day, just real bad withdrawals, all this stuff, and I'm calling places. I'm doing the same thing. Where to buy like this and that in this city that I've never been. On the phone with my doctor, finally talk him into sending me a script to a pharmacy in New Hampshire. And I'm starting to get a little honest with my wife, and she's just like, let's get through this. And the script didn't come in time. So I remember stopping and getting, what are those things that you can buy at like smoke shops that kind of are supposed to ease the withdrawals? You'd know it. It's
Kratom?
It might be. It's something that like I don't know. I took all these capsules, and I remember the guy saying like, you take 2 of these, and you should. And I remember just like, and they helped a little bit,
Right.
But anyway, I had set up some stuff, and something that I said I'd never do. The one that it's killing everybody, and that I'm like trying to educate people about not doing, and I'm just like, I just don't care. I'm just like, I just know I don't want to feel like this.
Yep.
And I remember flying home from Boston and being there, and I remember, now that I look back, I remember like I had some stuff that like eased it up. Like if I could have just said, you know what, I feel okay, I can get through the night. But I already set it up. Like
You're
the seed had
already
been planted.
there. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you're way too
You're
late
already
at that
in,
point.
and you're sick.
and
You'll do anything.
So I
Yeah.
got this drug, and I remember trying it and being a little nervous about it, and then just being like, oh, I'm fine. Everything's okay. So I did a little more. And I remember going in the house, and I was in my garage, and I remember, because I was like, I'm going to work it all out tomorrow. I just want to get through the night. And I remember like this, like I said, this fire inside me. Like I remember you could have put anybody in that doorway, and I don't know if they could stop me. Like I was so determined.
Yeah.
And now that I look back, I was just like, that was the worst. Like I will, if I continue to use, no question, I'll die. And because I'll do that, because I'll just, it's immediate. Like any care and concern I have for anything is out the window, and and you guys know it. But So I do it. I go upstairs, and I remember I'm thinking I'm all cool. I start kind of getting wobbly. And I remember trying to talk to my wife, and she got really annoyed. And I remember just kind of falling on my face a little bit. And so she leaves. Next thing I know, wake up, paramedics, police officer, all this stuff. So what had happened was I basically, when she left, boom, just out. And I guess it had been like 5 minutes, and she's like, I want to go check on him. So if she wouldn't have checked on me, so luckily my wife is like, hell no, this is not how I'm gonna live.
Oh, dude,
you know,
yeah.
at the time, same with everything, so angry, and I'm just like, I can't believe you do this. I'm gonna have this whole plan. I mean, she's like, you're not coming home. You're going to treatment. Either that or you're just not coming home.
Good for her.
And
for
yeah,
sure.
right. It's
Yeah.
same thing. Like from everybody that's kicked me out, I'm just like, I cannot believe you would do this to me. And then I thank
All
them.
I'm doing is ODing in the kitchen. Come on.
Then I
Yeah.
then I thank them. But that
Right.
was so I went to treatment the next day, and it was horrible. Oh, I wish I could say I had the same experience I did in Columbus. The guilt and shame,
Yes.
even though
Yes.
people were saying like
Yeah.
all kinds of cool stuff, I felt like the biggest piece of shit
Yep.
in
Sure.
the world.
Yep.
And
Sure.
even people that, like my wife, she's like, it's okay. This is, you're an alcoholic and, an addict and stuff like that. And I just could not get over it. And then I had all these withdrawals because I had this, it was horrible. And so I did like 28 days at this place, and I don't even know where it's at. In the middle of nowhere. And, luckily had insurance. And so it was this, I wasn't like fancy, but it was what I needed. And, got out, and then I started talking to people again. But the coolest thing was that people didn't judge me for it. Like, people that I, looked up to, good friends. Nobody was like, I cannot believe you do that. People were like, I would have done the same thing, or just whatever they
Yeah.
said that made
Yeah.
me feel just a little less like a piece of shit. And because I would have never thought that would have happened to me. Luckily, I got right back into it, and everybody kind of got around me, and then and finished school, and got a job, where I was doing my internship, and things were, basically better even, than before. And I kind of just got right back on track. And as long as I'm doing even somewhat of the right thing, shit is good. I mean, if I complained, it'd be like, dude, stop complaining. You have no reason to complain.
Yeah, same.
I mean,
Right.
yeah. So, so back there living, I wish I could say I am super involved with recovery, but I definitely live it. All the principles, I definitely do all the same stuff, but it's a little, all my friends are in recovery. So every day I'm talking to people. I get as many meetings as I can and stuff like that. But, and in my line of work, I'm always kind of picking little giblets from the program, and just, what's worked and applying it. I mean, but at the foundation always, thank God, like I've been able to keep that there, and, not have to go through that again. But also, I don't think I can have another surgery ever again for the rest of my life. No, I will.
God.
I am. That's what my wife said. It's scary, because I don't want to be in a position where I need those. I mean, it's insane to think like a tiny little pill that can just rule my world. But that's what happens. I've got that. It's just like this fire inside that's right now. It's not burning, but all it's going to take is that little
That
thing
spark to
do.
get you.
Yeah. Right.
It's
Yeah.
just, I always think of the band, one of my favorite bands is AFI, A Fire Inside.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's what I think about, is just like all it takes. But, and then I'll start saying, well, I can manipulate that fire and do the same. I don't know. It's good stuff, because I feel like there's something going on in there, but it's like all good stuff, not the one that wants to kill me, basically. So,
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So, so I've been working as a therapist for about a little over a year now. Love it. I mean, but also emotionally draining. I hear absolutely horrible, tragic stuff
Dude,
every
that's what
single
I don't
day.
know. Like, I feel like that would be such an interesting job, but like, I don't know if I could do that 40 hours a week and just like absorb all these people's different like trauma and issues and stuff. Like, is that
Well-
hard to like leave at the office when you get home at night, or like?
There's only been a few times that I've taken it home with me. Something that just kind of grabs me. I remember hearing something about animals. I won't say anymore, but and that was really hard. And then, you know, I mean, I've heard, I mean, literally everything on a random day, and I think part of it is I have so many clients that. Like if I'm not like I'll think about this person for a while and then then there's the next client too. So there's that, and I mean I'm still sensitive to stuff, but I've also like to hear about a lot of abuse and stuff like that. Obviously it's not easy to listen to, but I'm listening to it in a different mindset as one that I'm just really connected with that person, and then I hear it. I don't focus. I'm like not feeling sorry for him. I'm thinking like I am. We're gonna do this together. I'm gonna whatever you need, and I feel I'm on that helping side. I'm on the side that's like, starting to open up a new door and look at things different, and that feels good. Also, I can't dwell on the fact that that people out there did what they did. A lot of these people that I know. It infuriate me, and I don't understand it, and I'll get angry, and then I'll get sad, and I'll lose faith and all this stuff. So I, focus much more on positive things like that, and being around positivity and, hope, a lot of hope like that.
For
so,
sure.
but it's my deal. I will hopefully within the next year be an LISW, and eventually open my own place. I don't know.
Oh, is that the goal?
I don't know.
Dude,
I don't
that
know
would
what I'm gonna
be
do.
sweet.
I don't know. I love where I work and everything. I'm not ready to do that, but
Right.
I don't know, because I have a whole wellness vibe I want to enter into.
Hey, mental defectives.
Would you like to advertise on our podcast?
If so, email us at mentaldefectivespodcast@gmail.com.
So we can help you make a lot of money.
A whole lot of money.
And
Speaking of wellness vibes, tell us a little bit about that cold plunge deal that you're all ate up about.
thank you, Jane, because I would have rambled
Oh,
about.
no, we need to hear about the
There.
cold
No, I
plunge.
want to know
Forever.
about the cold.
Yeah.
So
I've been
now
with you
this
a
is
couple
my-
times,
This is
but-
my thing now.
Yes.
Thank you for asking. So
Yes, of course.
Okay. So I remember, I don't know what it was. I remember watching a thing like Vice or whatever, one of these YouTube things where these guys, I think it was Yes Theory, visited this guy Wim Hof, and he's introduced a lot of people to it. So, and I remember just thinking, wow, that seems crazy. For years you drive by like Frozen Lake, and you're just like, you don't think like, I'm gonna get in that thing. I remember
No.
I just wanted to try it, and I was in a cabin where there was a pond, and so I was like, I want to try this, and I remember doing it and just miserable fighting through. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a pain you're not used to. And then I was like, how are they doing that? And then I like really worked on my breathing, because I had done meditation for a long time and got really into that. But I was like, I'm looking for something else. And then I was like, then I did it for five minutes, and I was like, it was real empowering, all this stuff. So then, of course, like an alcoholic, I just started doing it more and more, and going out to the Scioto River, I think, and really noticing, how it helped my knees, but my anxiety was like just gone. And it was like kind of like an addiction. And so I'd been doing it like 4 years. And so eventually bought my own plunge pool and started just going anywhere I could. It was mostly mental health and stress, but also like you have to connect with your mind at the time, because normally it induces a panic attack basically as soon as you get in, and so you have to breathe through it, and then you realize that your body has the capability, like it'll warm up, all your blood leaves your extremities and everything. However, I just noticed, because anything stressful or chaotic in my life, like the way I do not get nearly as stressed. My stress response way lowered. Very little anxiety, feel better physically, and it's a little crazy, so I can still be a little crazy and do that. But then, like a goober, I started going more and more, and I was like, I want to see how long I can go. So right now, I'm trying to, like, I went for 40 minutes the other night.
Holy shit!
And it's 39 degrees. It could be colder, but I've been in, as cold as it gets. But I've got this whole thing, and I don't know if I'm gonna do it because I don't want to die. But I'm gonna. So there's guys out there that hold records for like direct submersion into ice, like basically where I get in a big container and then people just dump ice all over me, and I'm completely covered. And it's at over 4 hours that somebody sits in there, and I had literally today. My friend was like, my wife is a nurse, and she said medically, do not do this. You're an alcoholic, and you're trying to take everything to the extreme. But I don't know. It's kind of become my thing, and
I mean,
He
dude,
still
really
wants to
enjoy
do it.
if you can do
So-
40 minutes,
Yeah.
I mean, 4 hours is
But
a lot.
direct
So-
contact to ice, dude.
So if I were to go in for like 10 minutes, I would, freeze. Like, let's say it was even like 35, just a little above freezing. Like 10 minutes, coming, I could sit and everything would be fine. But when you go for like 40 minutes, it's not being in there that hurts. It's when you get out, and like your whole body and your blood is freezing. And I'll be like, I'm afraid of frostbite. And
Bro, I
my
shook your
organs
hand
failing.
Monday night,
Yeah.
and your hand was a fucking
Ice
ice
cold.
cube.
Right.
And you were like, oh yeah, I did the cold plunge
And it's,
earlier.
I mean, I'll be at dinner and I'll be shivering and everything. And my wife's like, "Are you okay? You don't look okay." And so there's a little fear in there. But then I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm starting to get obsessed with it because I'm like, I wonder how long I can go. And
What's the process when you get out? So the process when you get in, obviously you get in a tub of freezing fucking water, but you can't just jump out into a hot tub or like a hot shower.
No, yeah. So what I try to do now is get out, and then I'll try to kind of keep busy, still just like outside, shivering but controlling my breath, just not like going into full hypothermia, and slowly like put on a robe and just try to stay out of the shower as long as I can. But the whole process will be like 2 hours, so I'll have to do it late at night and like 1 a.m. and stuff like that. But it is. But I always wake up. I just feel 10 times better. But it is. It's a thing. And like I don't know. I remember like part of my finger was like felt like it was getting frostbite. My finger wasn't even in the water, and like part of my feet. It doesn't feel like things are flowing all the time like they should be, which is a little scary because. Yeah, I always said like I didn't do all this work to, die in a, voluntarily in a thing of water. Like I just I don't know, it just sucked. Like I'm always
I've lived
like, man,
through too much to
I would
drown
be
in
so
right,
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 right. Go out doing something
Yeah.
like I don't know, like where I didn't mean to do it. Like went out plunging and died. To be like so I don't but yeah, so that's what I'm looking into, and I'm scared to tell my wife. Because I know what she's gonna say. Complete disagreement. The only
tell her before this
person
comes out.
The only person is Jerry's always got my back.
I've got your back. We've talked about this.
Jerry's got my back. I mean, I don't think Jerry wants me to die, but I
don't.
think he
I don't know,
believes
but
in me.
I do. I
think
would
he
like to be
believes
there
in
when you
me
do it.
That because I'm talking ambulance would have to probably stand by. And I mean, this is if I was going for 4 hours. But
if this is like
You'd
a
have to
world
work-
record,
work
we'll
it-
pull it
yeah,
out with the
no,
cameras
that-
and mics.
yeah.
We'll make a whole event out of it.
that's
That would be
so.
sick.
I
'Cause
think it's 4 hours and 5 minutes right now, and you can wear trunks, and that's it. So literally, you have to like sit in this giant ice.
Yeah, I don't want to be looking
Yeah.
at your frozen dick for 4
and
hours.
right, and
Jerry
you
does, but not me.
have to check body temperature and heart rate and all this stuff. Like you have to be pretty careful with it. But I was gonna see if I could just go for an hour. See how
Yeah,
it
you
went.
definitely want to build.
For sure.
Yeah, and
And that's
spend
been an
way
imp-
too much time learning about this stuff.
And that's been an improvement on the knees because I've seen
big
like
time
with 2 knee
knees.
replacements. I've still seen you be doing like 5Ks
being
and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
started jogging
like,
again,
yeah.
and just now I can do anything. I tell you what, the
That's
knee
amazing.
replacements almost killed me, but it's also changed my life. Like
That's
I
awesome.
can jog. I can
Can you hit a
I
double
wanna get-
pedal on the drums?
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
I could do that, and I mean anything. Pickleball champion.
Oh, pickleball, get out
at least
of
of certain groups of people. Take pride in that. But I'm trying to get into trail running. It's just finding people that want to do stuff that's like not really fun is hard to do. Like getting into ice. I can't tell you how many people I'll be like, hey, you want to go do the ice? But this guy right here, I'll tell you what, out of everybody that's gone, Jerry did it easier. I guess easiest. I don't know. I don't know how much time you were in there.
14 minutes, bro.
See, that's not common. That's not common. So I don't know what's going on with you.
At first, it was like, I'm not, I'm going to do this.
Right.
You know? And I paid for it later because I didn't know what I was doing. You know,
How'd you pay for it later?
Trying to, like, warm myself up and, like, doing it wrong and all that. But
Did you get sick after?
no.
Nice.
How did you stay in there for 14 minutes?
Because you and Sam were still in there. And I was like, I'm not getting out yet.
Ego.
It was all ego. It was all
I tell you what, if you want to see me and Jerry jump in a fucking ice bath and we'll try and do
That
like
would be great.
10,
But the next
15
time I
minutes,
went with
drop
you,
a
I
comment.
only stayed for like 5 minutes. You know, I knew my limits then.
But see, you went again too, though.
Yeah.
And I probably asked you a lot
have,
to go
a
since.
couple of times.
And you're just not having it.
I would go again. It's just not, you know.
That's on tape.
We'll go again if we get
That's on
50
video.
comments asking us to go. So Jerry will go
Fair
for
enough.
20 minutes. I will go for 2 minutes.
20 minutes.
A lot of people are interested in it, but
Yeah.
then that's as far as it goes. Or they come once and they're just like, screw this, man. This is horrible. But it's something you got to do a few times and really experience it.
The fun part about it is like going to the lake or going out in nature and like going when it's cold as
Right.
fuck,
right. Yeah, it's like a little adventure.
Yeah,
you
you're
know?
not getting in like a pool in your backyard. You're
right,
going out
which is,
to a lake or a
it's
creek.
boring.
It's
but yeah,
crazy.
so that's what I look forward to right there. But
you should do it.
I mean,
If we get enough,
It's-
if we get however,
I tell you, it brings you. You're in the
people
moment.
want
You are.
I
I mean, you're there, man.
You, it's just you
Anyway.
have, like I said, you have to learn to manage your breathing. I mean, it is exposure therapy basically. In a way.
yeah.
I mean, no matter
Immersion
what happens,
therapy.
you know, whether it's driving or at work or with, I mean, if you can work through that, I mean, you can calm your body because, you know, anybody that's having like panic attacks, and I would, you know, walk people through it and do whatever, you know, as long as they don't have a heart condition, I guess that's.
ooh, good call.
But the only time I've ever heard of people dying is when they try to do these crazy breathing exercises while they're in the water, and suddenly they pass out. So
Interesting. Top 3 favorite drummers.
definitely John Bonham, definitely Keith Moon,
Fair.
and definitely Tommy Lee, from different eras, but for different reasons.
No Danny Carey, no Neil Peart.
well, they're
Travis
on
Barker?
lists, but they're not top 3.
Okay.
That's
a solid list, though.
I like drummers that
Ringo?
look like. Oh yeah. I don't think Ringo's top 10. I like Ringo more for his just personality, which is a big thing though. With drummers, they have to look like they're having a blast.
Yes.
You know, they have to look technical, like Neil Peart. Like he was obviously amazing, but he was like super serious. So I just never
I feel like
got
it's
into
the same
it.
thing with. Have you seen the video of Danny Carey playing drums? Some like elementary band is covering a Tool song, and he's back there just like shit-eating grin, ear to ear. And like I've seen Tool in concert, you can't even see him at all. He's just back there in a fucking
Right.
Celtics jersey.
Yeah. He's awesome. And I was a big Taylor Hawkins fan. He was the
Oh, yeah.
same thing.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
definitely, love drummers, but it's, those are the guys that really kind of, like I saw them and I was like, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to do. I mean, I had, no plan B for a long time. And, and you hear people say that, like, what's your backup plan? And I'm just like, there's none. I'm taking this all the way. And I'll think about that sometimes, like if I wouldn't have got into drugs, like what would have happened? And then I'll have to do the old, well, if this wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
Run
And
yourself into the ground with that one.
I'm a
Yes,
I'm a very mentally free, fulfilled individual, I guess. I don't take life. Sometimes I should take it a little more serious, but I just don't. I have sometimes just a blissful ignorance about a lot of things. I feel like I have to. I just, I started doing this experiment a while ago about living a year like it was my last one. And it was just a mindset of just like, what is really important to me? And not completely screw everything else, but just care less about it. Like every day I'm given, every day I'm, given a certain amount of fucks. And I'm gonna give.
You gave me that book.
I'm gonna give you. Right.
You gave me
I'm
that
gonna
book.
give them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give one to Jerry. I'm gonna give one to you, and I'm gonna give. But the guy on the road that's tailgating me is not getting one today. He might. I'll start to give him one, but then I'll have to catch it and take it back.
Yeah.
So basically, it's what's important to me. I have to ask myself that all the time, and then just remember, like, why am I worrying about this? I just see so much suffering is from all the stuff that we can't control, right? I mean, and I don't know. So that's how I try to live, at least.
Well, it's hard to be in a bad mood around you.
Thank you.
I'll give you that.
You know what I mean? It really is. He's the man.
I was waiting for my nerves to chill out throughout this thing, and they never did. I feel like my face is red, and I'm like,
oh no, this is
talking all over the place.
This is pure for like the viewers. This is what we see every Monday. Like you just come in like a fucking hurricane,
Right?
Of like, and you're just like,
I'm like, is that
just
mic
happened.
on? Because I'm ready to share some stories, and then it's just the same thing. Everything, I'm like, man, it's gonna go. I'm gonna sound like I know what I'm talking about, and it's just all over the place.
No, it's
No,
But I was
perfect.
like, I'm not going to go in there and like lecture. I'm just going to kind of, answer the questions, I guess.
hell yeah. Speaking of, what advice would you have for someone looking to be a therapist?
Well, okay, this is the one. It's not even about school or anything like that, but really think about, I would say, why and everything that is involved. Like if you are not an empathetic individual, maybe compassionate or just kind of, I don't know, like the idea of it. I mean, it is hard. It's heartbreaking. I mean, it depends on, because a lot of times in school, like, I'm sure there are therapists that, take private insurance or cash and make a lot of money, and nothing against them, but like where I work, I mean, it's a nonprofit, and a lot of times when you do internships, like you have to deal with maybe people that don't think they need it, or they have to be there, or they're gonna tell you about the worst thing that you've ever heard, and I guess, are you ready for that? Is what But there's but when you're in the room with that person, that's and it's just you, and they are trusting you, and and you're connecting, and you feel like you're like, this is what I should be doing. I mean, there's, nothing greater than, when I say greater, like as in feeling I'm doing the right thing. Feel like I'm living my purpose, I guess. But that would be the biggest thing, is like consider all aspects, and then, because like I'm a social worker. That's what my degree is in, as opposed to like just a counselor. And so, it's much more about the culture and everything basically. So all kinds of social services stuff, and as opposed to just like studying the DSM and learning about diagnosis, and all clinical basically.
More like a practical, I guess.
And don't expect to make a lot of money at first. Maybe, I don't know, maybe so though, but the emotional part of it, I would say, like to really be I don't know, just it's like a journey. So I don't know, like I feel like that's what I was supposed to do. That's what my mom did for a long time.
Nice.
But like 10 years ago, like I don't want to sit in a room and listen to, because sometimes it's, I look at it different now. I've learned a lot about myself. Like, anytime I think I'm like, man, I know some stuff now, I'm like, man, it's just, life is so much better. I feel like so much more effective when I go in and I would prepare and I'd research this, look at charts and stuff. And just like anything, when I go in and I'm just like, be myself and, listen and not make it about me at all, things go, pretty good. But I would say, back to the empathy and all types of people, not just like, one type of people, like I wonder what that's like, but I don't know. How am I going to listen to pure suffering and, do I have the patience to like really work, in a way that works for them, and, maybe finding meaning in that suffering, or, helping them basically see a different side of life, and hopefully something that throughout the week, maybe they'll reflect on, or, sometimes I want to go and I'll want it more than they do. And it's hard. And I just want to be like the same
That's
thing in
tough.
recovery.
That's tough.
I want to be like,
right, same.
just please do this. Your
Yeah.
life is, nothing's going to change, and it's going to get worse. And,
Right.
but it really opens your eyes to like, I don't know, like, well, one, a lot of things that I've taken for granted, how fortunate I am. I didn't grow up in the system, and, wasn't rich, but I was, I had a lot of different friends. And so I was very grateful for not just being in one, clique or whatever in high school. Like I had all different kinds of friends, and lived all over, getting different tastes of different things. But, it's sad. It goes back to like what's really important, like, because I don't know. I mean, I don't see how, now I'm going all over the place, but how someone could, someone takes advantage of somebody when they're young, physically, sexually, whatever. Just grow up and just forget about it.
Right.
It's like, man, like I want to, there's a lot of parents out there I don't know that I want to be like, man, do you realize like you did a lot of psychological damage that this person's going to have to deal with now for decades because of what
I'd just be
or
wanting to like
said.
slap the shit out of
Well,
people. Like,
it's
I wouldn't be.
infuriating
I'm not built for that kind of.
to hear of like what people do, and it's hard to not judge, and that's my son now. So it's hard to not judge people, but to do harm like that, knowing that there's people all over the place that do that is tough.
Oh yeah.
So I have a quick two-part question.
Two-parter?
Yes,
Two-parter.
two-parter.
shoot.
Sorry. So, any advice for somebody trying to get into cold plunging? Like, starting off.
I would say, well, see, I don't like cold showers. That's the easiest. I would say if it's someone especially that we know is contact me, and we'll take you out there. We'll take you out there so we can
right.
Or find somewhere, just safety, I guess. But cold shower is a good start. It's just like water shooting at you.
Yeah.
And but you can just turn it
Yeah.
off. But so it'd be a good introduction.
Fair.
Cold showers, or somewhere that you could, like a pond, or somewhere you can just walk in and walk back out.
Yep.
And breathe, and just not focus solely on that pain, because it's just like any other pain. Like, it's not going to, most of the time, kill you most of the time. Now, if you go in straight up, you're like 33 degrees.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Right.
I'm going to swim underneath the ice.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that.
Yeah. Right.
But, also, like, this is a good time of year because the water's cold, but it's not in the 30s.
Yes.
Yet. Start slow. Be careful. Go with somebody.
Yeah.
And even for like tents, just to get an idea of what it's like. But yeah, as long as you're safe about it. Like, I wouldn't want to see somebody go out at night to some lake and nobody knows they're there.
Yeah.
And because you get really tired, and you just, just safety has to come first. And,
Tell you what, we'll throw our producer Chris, we'll throw him in a lake tonight for like 10-20 minutes, see how that goes. And then if he survives, Chris,
are we doing a chant?
he's starting a chant. He's starting
You look over, he's got his shirt off, he's getting trunks. We're like, calm down,
let's
Chris.
go.
Yeah, let's say.
All right, and then part number 2.
Yeah.
Advice for somebody coming back from a relapse.
I would, without friends, I would say that was the biggest thing. It wasn't like I could do all the soul searching I wanted. I could try to let go of guilt and shame. But if I wouldn't have had friends around me telling me, like, just actually sometimes not even say anything, just being cool with me, not treat me any different.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I can't imagine, like, Jerry's like, I can't believe you realized. Like, that would have been, not one person said that. My old boss, people that I'd always looked up to, like, are just like, hey, man, he's like, I would have done the same thing. That was a big deal to hear. Someone that has like decades of sobriety. whether they meant it or not, it was important. It just made me feel, I felt less than, and so it made me feel a little less than. Like, no,
I know what you
it was
mean.
like
Yeah.
it was like that little nudge that I needed.
Understood.
So, rely on like friends. That's why, the support was so important. I have a list. I had my spot. They're all guys, guys that are just that are gonna remind me things, remind me about how important laughter is, remind me that I'm gonna feel sorry for. We're gonna, you'll get out of it. And it wasn't even these big talks or lectures or anything. It was just like, let's get right back into it. So but that was the thing. I'll call up Kyle and I'll be like, "What do you got, man? What's up?" And he'll tell me something stupid that somebody said, and I'll just be like, and I think it's the funniest thing ever. Or he'll do like an impression of the person, and I'm like, and then next thing you know, I'm laughing, and I'm like, what am I even feeling sorry for myself for?
It's all good.
Yeah. But so that is just find guys that make you laugh. Like being in a relationship, like finding somebody that's gonna make you laugh, because at that time, that was the best medicine. Absolutely, it still is, really.
Oh yeah,
laughter.
That's why that's half the reason we do this.
I want to be around a couple goofballs, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, right.
I can go on YouTube to hear some serious talks.
We almost named this the goofball. No, we didn't.
Yeah,
No, not at all.
what was that? What's going on? Let's flip it. No, exactly. I want to see. I want to go on and watch my friend making some crazy videos. I want to see. I want to see what's going on with Jer Bear. I want to call him funny things. I want to see all kinds of stuff. I want to manipulate his picture and put it on a T-shirt. I want to do. And like
Good
to me,
stuff.
that's what life's all about, right there. It's just like, let's just why not? Why not?
And
get weird
submerging
with it.
yourself in freezing cold water for
Get
hours
weird
at a
with
time.
it. And I have a lot of hobbies. I'm very notorious for starting things and just losing interest. That's it.
Yep.
I've been like this. Like one night, it'll be like, I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna shoot a full-length documentary. I have started and stopped, or never even started really.
Yeah.
And I'll record ideas in my phone. I'm like, I'm gonna make a skit, design clothing, and crazy, just random things. I'm like, I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna move here, and I'm gonna build this. I'm gonna start this company. Then I'll forget that I even was like, man, I really wanted to do that.
I do,
but
love
I embrace it.
Yeah.
I embrace it now, and I'm like, that's who I am. Like I beat myself up for so long for just what I didn't do, what I did do, and now I just try my best. And if usually the thing that happens is occasionally I'll push a joke a little too far with my family, and I'll apologize. But like I don't have like people. I don't get arrested, and I don't have people
there's
like
a lot
want to
worse
kill me.
things.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
And so that's the time when I really like I'll hurt some feelings sometimes, and I'll say the wrong thing to my wife, and I'm thinking I'm all hilarious. But that's it. People don't get mad at me anymore. I'm not always on time, but I'll show up, and So it's really not bad. Like tonight, and I'll leave here. Maybe pick up another monster. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, I don't have to check my bank account before I get it.
That's
which
right.
is sweet.
I know that's right.
And
we'll
get you one for the road. Ryan, thank you so much.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on tonight. Last
Yes.
thing before we got out of here, you had posted online that the Trans Am is the worst make and model of a car ever to be designed, and you wouldn't be caught dead driving one, even if it was given to you for free. What did you mean by that?
Everything that I've said
It's a
about
Mental
being
Defectives
peaceful
podcast.
is
It's
gone.
Milligram,
Left.
Jerry with a G, Ryan.
Rage.
We will see you next time. Peace.